I was born in a small town in Germany.
Near Cologne. Sinzenich is the city.
There were 5 of us. I had a brother and a sister and me and mother and father.
We lived in the city, but still it was more or less a farm.
My father was a cattle dealer.
It was somehow a good life for us.
We never felt till crystal night that people were nice to us.
Children would call you dirty Jew, and they throw stones at you. Not everybody, they had friends, but of course they were too scared to play with us.
SS came from other towns, and they invaded our homes, and we were put out of our house, and we had a permit to go to Holland. My grandmother lived in Holland.
We had the papers ready to go to England. The papers weren't ready for my father, so we were stuck there. And the war broke out, and we had to stay in Holland. And then
Hitler invaded Holland in 1940, and all the Jewish people had to register.
And if you not registered right or didn't wear a star and you were caught, you were sent to Westerbork. And from there, they sent every week, a train would leave to the unknown. We never knew. Then in 1942, they said, if you don't go on your free will to Westerbork, when you're caught and they pick you up at the house, you will be straight sent on to the, to unknown. We didn't know where it would go, to which camp.
And in 1942, we were sent to Camp Westerbork.
And we were able to stay there till 1944 because I got a job. I could walk out of the camp to keep the house, clean the house.
I worked outside for a Dutch SS or something.
All the Jewish people had to work, and so that way then they wouldn't be sent off to the unknown.
But one day my brother worked in a machine shop, and he didn't greet the SS like he should have, and didn't take his cap off.
The young SS said, you cannot greet me even properly, you dirty Jew.
So he was put on the next transport, and my father said, if he goes, we all go. So we all went to Theresienstadt, Teresin.
And the reason we were sent to Theresienstadt, my father had served in the First World War, and he had the Iron Cross. For that, instead of being sent to Auschwitz right away, we were sent to Theresienstadt.
But one day the International Red Cross came and wanted to show the world how beautiful we are taken care of. We had to plant flowers. And the day after they left, we went sent on to Auschwitz.
Went on a cattle train with just low water and not much to eat. We got off the train, and they took the children, and then they were crying, and they said, oh, come on, mother, keep them happy, so they'll be happy, you go with them. And it meant that they were right away sent to the gas chamber.
We were stripped of our clothes and put prison clothes on and went out on the other side, and that's where we were tattooed, our numbers.
They gave us a towel, and he said, this is the bathhouse, and for being disinfected. We went through there, and not realizing that it was the gas chamber, and they opened up the back door and let us out.
And one day we were there not very long, and my mother was separated that time from us, and we were loaded on trucks.
And we never saw again. And we told my father, we saw him once more, and he had told us the two of will get out. So please remember, we have family in America, and they will take care of you. And so he blessed us, and then we told him goodbye. They selected us again for a work camp, and that was near Danzig in Proust, and there were 800 girls, and we had to do labor there.
And one day they were passing French prisoner of war, and one of them threw a little paper, and I picked it up, and I don't know what was in the paper, but when I came back from work that night, I was asked to come to the SS quarter, and I was whipped with a horse whip. Then the next day I had to go to work, and when I was working, when the SS wouldn't look, I would just pretend I was working, but I was very badly hurt in my back, and I survived it.
It was hard labor, and in the meantime, we didn't have much to eat. We got maybe one piece of bread and then some soup. We had a bowl, one bowl each, where we could have our soup in, and that was our most prized possession. If you didn't have that bowl, you wouldn't have any soup. So, and people stole and act like animals when they're in despair. So we always kept more or less in the background.
In December of 44, January, I don't know the dates exactly, the Russians were invading that part of Poland, and we were put on the death march. And we started out with about 800 girls, and we marched, and we were to be drowned in the Baltic Sea.
Whoever could walk was all right, and then some stayed on the side of the road, said couldn't walk anymore, and when we were out of earshot, we hear the guns, and then they shot them.
And one day when we marched, I said, Ruth, I cannot walk anymore. And there were wagons were parked middle of the night, and she shoved me between the wheels of the carriage or whatever there. And in the morning, our transport had gone by then already.
We were coming closer and closer to the Russians. They were fighting, and we wanted to run over to the Russians, and we were caught in the nets, and if we wouldn't have gone back, Germans would have shot us. That evening, the SS, there were only about 50 girls left out of the 800, and he said, if your life is dear to you, you run wherever you want to. I don't want to be caught by the Russians.
And while we were walking, this Russian soldier came up to us. He asked if we were Jewish, and he said, come, I will get you somebody who can speak Yiddish or whatever. And he came with a soldier, and he put us in a house somewhere.
And they said, oh, come in, we have more people here. And we go in there, and the whole room was full of SS. They were guarding the French prisoners of war. And they were sitting in the back, said, oh, come, we'll give you the bed. But we were scared, something might happen to us. And said, no, we'll sit here in the corner. We sat next to a corner in a cabinet, and we leaned on each other, and we fell asleep. And in the morning, we wake up, and the whole farm was empty. The Russians had come through, and we never had heard one thing. They left us for dead.
And we went to the railway station. There was a car said Prague, and we climbed up on the boxcar and wound up in Czechoslovakia.
In Pilsen was the Dutch army. We went there, and the Red Cross had given us some clothes again, and a little money, and we went back to Holland.
When we got to Holland,
Out of the big family, nobody survived.
But an uncle and an aunt who had hidden.
We were underground.
And that's where we stayed with him.
Till we had the papers ready to go to America.
And Rose and I came, 1946, we came to America.